Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. We are here for another reading. Shocker, I know. I'm still working on cleaning up my office. I swear one day it'll get done, but just bear with me for the time being. Till then, we're going to do what I always do if you've been around a while, and that is to start this reading with a really quick prayer. So, okay. We're going to start with this deck here. Sometimes they come right in and they tell me what they want to talk about. Today they're not doing that. Three cards I'm hearing, and then the bottom for the fourth. So we're at 2, 3. Oh, and I screwed up the shuffling. Keep that. Okay, we're going to keep that. We're just going to go with it. They originally told me, 3 cards and then do the bottom, and then I screwed up the shuffling, and we're still going to hold the bottom. Thank you. Okay. We start off, so I'm going to try and do this in order. Immediately what I'm getting from this collective is you guys are really trying hard to control so many aspects of your life. And there's a massive message here that that's not what you need to do. You don't need to control every aspect. In fact, you can't control every aspect of your life. You just can't, okay? Immediately I'm getting, we start off with the catalyst, which talks about radical changes, taking control. Then we've got the captain, which is again taking command. There's a level of control with taking command. Okay, we have the center, which is all about determination, going for it, moving forward, that forward direction. Okay, but then we also have this balance that's occurring here with the divinia, talking about divine timing. And then we've also got the pilgrim coming up about opportunities. Okay, and then we also have the queen that was on the bottom of the deck. Okay, which talks again about determination. It's a lot of this cutting energy, this energy of trying to control things that are out of your control. There's a reminder, there's this step back that's coming through with the botanist energy coming through here. And this all about is asking you, what is the legacy you want to leave behind? Okay, that's the message I'm getting for this collective. Okay, this collective is really struggling with things like letting go. Okay, trying to control people, trying to control situations that are out of their control. Trying to, hold on, dog interruption, excuse me. It's really interesting because I let her out, but my one dog just came in, as you all saw, and that door was closed. So it wasn't closed very well because she managed to shove her nose in and open it. But the dog is all about loyalty, and the dog is about, a dog's loyalty comes based off how you're treating them. Okay, a dog will give you unconditional loyalty, but it will come always at a sacrifice, right? If you think of a dog in an abusive situation, it's going to come at the sacrifice of them being abused. They'll still be loyal, but they're still going to be abused, no matter the level of loyalty. They continue to give love no matter what. And it's really interesting that she came in when I was talking about control and like this level of control that's there, that people are in this collective are really struggling with, because dogs are really the antithesis of control. When you think about it, dogs are really all about play and freedom and that inner child. And there's this connection here of her coming in where I'm like, this feeling of needing to listen to your inner child, to let go of things that are here, to let go of what's happening here, to let go of this chaotic type energy that is present. Okay, needing to move things forward isn't going to happen because you force them. I mean, you can try to force them, but are you going to be satisfied if you're always forcing everything? Are you going to be satisfied with the outcome? Are you going to be satisfied with what it is you're doing because you're forcing it all the time? Is that really where you're going to get your satisfaction? There's this feeling where there's this almost like things aren't happening fast enough for this collective. I want things now. I want them to happen now. I want to do it now. And so what you try to do is you try to make it happen faster. And what you end up doing when you do that is you end up actually creating more delays, right? You create more delays when you try to force something to happen too soon, right? Think about this in terms of, say, sports, okay? When you are doing sports, for example, right, and you are training, okay, and you're like, I want to be, I don't know, the fastest runner, okay, or I want to be the best swimmer, the fastest swimmer, okay, and you're like, I'm going to go and I'm going to run, 3 times a day, every single day. What's going to happen is your body is going to break down very, very quickly because you haven't conditioned it. You haven't given it time. You haven't rest. Okay, so when you're there and you're like, I'm going to run 3 times a day, every single day, and not take any rest days, and that's going to make me faster, it's not going to make you faster because you're going to end up getting injured, and now you're not going to be able to run for 6 weeks because you're injured. And now, if you had just slowed it down and you had just taken the rest days and done your 3 to 4 runs a week instead of running every day and doing 1 run a day 3 to 4 times a week instead of doing 3 runs a day every single day, you would have actually ended up getting further in the long run, despite you initially perceiving it as being less because you didn't create the injury that would have kept you in bed and unable to run at all for 6 weeks. Do you guys see what I'm saying here? See what I'm trying to go with this? It's definitely this type of feeling of pushing things through, and there's definitely this feeling of you need to understand that growth doesn't happen overnight. Right? It takes a season for true growth to occur. It takes time for true healing. You can't rush therapy. You can't rush healing. You can't rush your bodies. The body that got injured because you were running 3 times a day every single day and was not giving yourself any breaks, that body can't be healed in 24 hours. Okay, it's going to take time. It's going to take a level of understanding. It's going to take this there's a process to it. At the end of the day, there is a process to it that you need to take into consideration, and you need to understand, and you need to really pay attention to. Yeah. Okay, we had alignment and then detour come up. You guys see that? There we go. Alignment and then detour. All right, alignment is doing the thing that you want to do, that you should be doing, and this is your confirmation that you're doing the thing. And then the detour is, okay, there's something that needs to be sussed out. Instead of pushing through and trying to just go through, there's something that there's a reason that you have the detour. Okay, when there's a construction sign and you try, and I know this because I have a partner who does try to do this sometimes, he sees the sign that says the road is closed, no through entry, and he will still try to go down that road, and then he goes, oh, I can't get through. Well, if you had listened to the sign that is telling you can't get through and there's no through entry because the road is closed, you would have known that. Okay, it's this kind of vibe that I'm getting here of pay attention. There's a reason that detour is there. And just because you don't see it now and you're looking down the road and you're like, well, it seems open to me, you don't see the end of the road. So just because it seems open to you now, it doesn't mean that you understand and you can see the end of the road. So really understanding and pulling back of, okay, hold on, there's a reason this happens. In addition to the detour, you also have cutoff. Okay. This is reminding me of cutting cords, okay, so which might be really indicative for this collective to cut cords, but also setting boundaries. Okay, which is really interesting because as I said that, I just realized that we have this card here, which at the bottom, my camera is not going to focus fully, but it actually says set clear boundaries. Okay, so needing to set boundaries. Okay, what I really like about this card, which is the strawberry, and it's labeled sweetness, is that you can set boundaries, but this is also a reminder that boundaries don't need to be harsh. You don't need to be mean with your boundaries. You don't need to be someone who's going to be really, angry and be like, I demand that you do this. I demand that you don't contact me between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6. You don't need to be mean about it. Okay. And it doesn't matter whether this boundary is with the living or with the dead. I just felt the need to say that. You don't need to be mean about it. Okay. Unless someone, you can be assertive. If someone is continuously disobeying your boundaries, you can be assertive with that, all right? But you don't need to be mean about it, okay? You don't need to be rude about it. You don't need to be, all up in a huff about it. Just set the boundaries in a very calm and collected manner, all right? In a very easy way. I do want to point out, we also had this card come up, which is called Eccentric Person, and that's what I feel like this collective is. This collective is comprised of people who have very much not what's labeled as a traditional worldview. And I think that you're going to listen to this reading, and it's just going to, even if I don't fully explain and suss out, for example, about this boundary thing, this collective is going to understand anyways. You're going to know. You're already going to know. You're already going to have a feeling of what that means and how that is going to play out. You're going to already know. Okay. And so this eccentric person, right, there's definitely, and then there's the cat, right, which is also very intuitive, right? Who's the eccentric person, right? It's always that person who has the most discernment. It's the person who trusts their intuition. It's the person who follows their instincts like the cat does, right? It's that person who doesn't hold for the right? That's the eccentric person, right? It's not the person who follows the rules and is doing everything by the book and, oh, well, the news says this and the government says this and whomever. The eccentric person is the person who questions those ideas. Okay, you might have also, I'm also getting like old soul. And I do find that typically more eccentric people tend to be older souls, people with different worldviews or more controversial worldviews in today's day do tend to be also older souls, people who've gone through multiple lifetimes here and have brought a lot of lessons, tend to come through as well. We also have this card, it's called Temptation, but what's really calling to me is femininity. The pomegranate I associate with feminine energy, okay? And there's this feeling of reconnecting to the divine feminine, reconnecting to your femininity. This could also be like, it doesn't matter, this is not gender specific, so whether you're male or female, both of these could still apply, of reconnecting to this feminine energy, reconnecting to your soul, reconnecting to your intuition, getting out of this masculine. When you're trying to control everything, right? That's the more masculine energy, okay? When you're trying to be super orderly and you're trying to set things, and this is a very masculine energy. It's a controlling energy. It's not an energy that can flow and can be sustained in the long term. The energy that can be sustained long term is the flowing energy of the feminine. And so we need to have these balance in our lives between the masculine. There's a time and place for the masculine energy, and there's a time and place for the feminine energy. And we need to have this balance between these things. And so there's this understanding of, okay, I've been in this masculine state, which this collective I feel like has been in this masculine energy for quite some time, of too hard trying to control things. Trying to control things too much, too hard, for too long. And it's not sustainable, right? It's not sustainable. So now you're being guided towards seeing things in a new perspective, lighting a new path, maybe with this card, right? The lantern, lighting a new path. This is also reminding me of the not the Hierophant. Interesting I said that though. Interesting I said the Hierophant when I wanted to say the Hermit. We're going to go with that. The Hierophant, which talks about society's expectations and rules and regulations, right? The Hierophant is usually in a religious sense, but it can also extend into programming that society does, that school systems do. Very interesting that that came up when I was talking, especially between the masculine and the feminine energy, right? What I meant to say is this card's giving me Hermit vibes, right? The Hermit card is a gentleman in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith-Coleman deck. That deck, the Hermit is holding a lantern out in front of him, right? The lantern is lighting away, but the lantern can only light so far, right? And the Hermit's alone, and the Hermit's in a space of doing a lot of this inner work, right? And there's this understanding of the lantern light only goes so far. You're not going to see the full map of your life or of what's going on with the lantern. Okay, the lantern can only light so much, and bringing that, understanding that, understanding that just follow the light, the guiding light. And what's interesting is that we're following the guiding light, but you're holding it. So you're not passive in this, you're active in this. You're still holding that light, you're still holding that energy, you're still holding that space and that healing, right? And it's very different compared to when you see the lantern, say in this card, right? The lantern's here. There we go. It's there we go. The lantern's here. There's multiple of them and they're showing a way, right? They're guiding away. But the difference between this type of energy, right, is that this type of energy, you have no choice because you're not in control of the light. You have no choice but to follow the path that's there. When you have this card, right, you can choose where that's going to go. You can choose to make a turn. You don't have to follow path. You can choose, and that's where this eccentric vibe is coming through again, right? With this card, when I see these two together, is you can choose the light. You can choose where you're going to go. And it doesn't need to be this. If it's not working, you don't need to be stuck in this rigid construct, in this rigid mindset, this rigid type energy of, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. You don't need to be stuck in these areas, okay? That's just the bottom line. That's not what you need to do. That's not, and it's not going to help you if you are stuck in those areas. That's also something else, okay? We also got out the masks we wear. This card's been coming out a lot when I've been using this deck recently, when I've been doing readings all about masks, removing masks. I talked about discernment earlier in this reading, right? Discernment from people, right? How you can see through the masks, okay? And again, a trait that the eccentric person is known for, right? That boho hippie type person, they typically see this that other people aren't picking up initially, okay? But it's also a reminder to remove your mask. It's also a reminder to remove the mask that you're wearing, okay? To be you, to be your authentic self, to hold your energy and to be in it, to not hold back from it just because others are going to be uncomfortable. It doesn't mean that you need to, bottom, yes, okay. It doesn't mean that you need to be less than what you are because others are uncomfortable, okay? We also have life force here, and then we've got to create some space. this is really interesting part because we're immediately in this sense of create some space so that your life force can shine. Okay, how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to remove the masks. You remove the mask, that's going to create some space, and it's going to allow your true essence to shine, your true healing. I also want to bring attention to this snake here, okay? Because at the time that I'm recording this, we're still in the year of the snake according to the Chinese calendar. At the time this will be published, we'll either have just left that, yeah, we'll probably have just left the year of the snake at the time that this is on YouTube. And the snake gets a really bad reputation, okay? Because the snake, everyone looks at this snake and is like, oh, the snake, this, that's someone who's two-faced and isn't legitimate, and be wary of this snake, and snakes are poison. And there's a lot of negativity, but we forget that snakes also deal with healing. Okay, we forget that snakes, all right, the snake isn't just about the negativity. It's not just about revealing people with less than true intentions, although that could be the case. But the snake also deals with inner healing, all right? And that's especially what's coming out here with this card in this imagery that I'm seeing right now. Aligning your energy, right? Some of you might be also doing a Kundalini awakening, okay? But aligning this energy, this snake-like energy, aligning that energy within your life, okay? And doing the inner healing. Right? Some of this collective, they really need to focus a little bit more on the inner healing instead of so much the external healing, right? Instead of worrying about the healing that everyone else needs to do, maybe look in a mirror and look at the healing that you need to do. Where's the gap that you need to fill? What is it that's stopping you? What is it that you're not doing? What is it that you should be doing? That's what this card is really coming forth with. That's what it's coming up to, right? That's what it's really reminding me, because when you're doing that, right, and you're doing and by the way, I do want to say this as well, because this is coming up, the healing doesn't need to just be mental, spiritual. It's an emotional, it's also physical healing, right? So this could be like changing of diets, right? And that again is coming up because we have a lot of fruit. So some of you might be integrating more fruits and vegetables into your life, like into your just physical diet, to help you with this type of energy, right? Of healing your body. Okay. And the more you heal your body, that's the more you're going to heal your spirit. Okay. The more you heal your body, the more you're going to, well, I'm getting really tongue tied. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I feel like I'm getting really tongue tied, almost like there's a block here regarding healing. There's a block here regarding the concept of healing for this collective. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting that that's coming through, right? Because anytime we talk about healing and needing to do more healing and focus on the healing, there's like, I'm struggling to get the word healing out, right? So for some of you, there's a huge block here regarding healing, either because you feel like you don't need to, okay, which is factually false. Everyone's going to need healing, whether it's because you're so focused on this masculine energy, which is very physical based. So you're like, well, but my physical body feels fine. My physical body is fine. And my physical body, okay. I also noticed that I'm moving my hair a lot in this reading. Nothing during a reading is by accident, okay? So I feel like this collective could also, when I'm talking about healing, be focused more on the physical aspects of healing and be like, but I'm physically fine. I work out and I do this, and I eat clean and I'm good. And in that case, if you fall into that category as part of this collective, I would say that this is going to be more that emotional healing, spiritual healing. Emotional healing is really coming through here with me, especially because this is really in the area of the heart chakra, which I associate a lot with emotional healing, but also intuition, right? And with emotional healing comes the ability to discern between your fears and your intuition, right? Which, when you don't have that ability, you naturally tend to be more in that masculine energy. You naturally tend to be in this more masculine state of energy, when you haven't done the work to balance that out and to listen to your intuition a little bit more, right? And through healing, you create space, right? Some of you are going to have in the next few months, I'm hearing next 2 months, 2 weeks to 2 months is what they're showing me. Some of you are going to have really powerful, like dreams or astral projections, but just very powerful spiritual experiences. Some of you are going to really be in this state of really powerful, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. Really powerful spiritual experiences. They're telling me that's all they're going to tell me for that. Really powerful spiritual experiences. They told me on the bottom of the deck, and the bottom of the deck came up like this, and it's on the plenty side. Okay, and this is a reminder of you have plenty. You've got it. The things you want, the life you want is at your disposal. You're a creator of your circumstance. Whether we like to admit that or not, every single one of us is a creator of our current circumstance. Whether that circumstance is good or whether that circumstance is perceived to be negative, we have all placed some level and some part in that circumstance. Okay, so there's a reminder here that we're all creators in that circumstance. We're all doing things in that circumstance. Okay, because it's very interesting actually how I just said that. We're all creators in our circumstance and we're all doing things within that circumstance. That's a very odd way of saying things. I didn't say we're all doing things in our circumstance. We're going to go with it though. Doing things in our circumstance. When that happens and we're not in a space of creating, that's again masculine energy because you're in this survival space, right? Or in this survival space. I'm told to take 2 cards from this deck to finish this reading off. And the very first one that came out is called Strange Journeys. Take control of your quest and choose your companions wisely. I feel like that's really, there's this battle here, right? Because on one hand, I'm telling you, you don't need to control everything. And then on the other hand, I'm telling you to take control. And I think there's a differentiation that needs to be had here because you don't need to control everything in terms of what others are doing, but you do need to take control and responsibility for your actions and what you're doing in this collective. Yeah, you don't like me very much. Some of y'all's egos is going to be hit hard with this reading. You're going to take it really personally in this. And so this is your reminder that really nothing's personal, right? You make it as personal as you make it. Mandrake spirit, keep yourself rooted in the earth. Spring is coming, dream deep. That's interesting because actually, so when this gets posted, it'll probably be mid to end of February, in and around the time that we're transitioning into the year of the horse in the Chinese calendar, which is February 17th. And then I said 2 weeks to 2 months. And depending on where you are in the world, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you will be entering spring within that time frame. 2 weeks to 2 months. The official date of spring in the Northern Hemisphere is like March 20th or March 21st, okay, which would fall within that two month. And then April is definitely within that 2 month mark as well. And that's where I think a lot of you, if you trust the timing a little bit more, you're going to find that the more things are going to start flourishing come that time, March. You know, end of February, early March, I'm hearing for some of you. For some of you, I'm hearing first week of April. It's just going to depend a little bit on where you are now and the preparation you've done now, and also the healing you've done or have not done at the time that you're saying this. Okay. Keep in mind too that these readings are not necessarily time specific. So if you see this later on, the 2 months to 2 week to 2 month time frame would still apply. It's just going to apply a little bit differently depending on the season that you're in. But These are I intend for these readings to be timeless readings. So they're still going to apply even if you come 2 years later and you see this video, right? And so I'm going to leave it there. Okay. Balancing out the energy. There's a lot of potential in this collective that's hiding underneath everything. And I think this collective, you just need to trust yourself more, and you need to trust your intuition more, and you need to just not lose faith in yourself. And you need to remove the masks and speak out, use your voice more. That's also, I didn't really talk about that very much. But I'm also hearing, sorry, one last thing, because I saw this, dance to your own music. I saw this and I heard distinctly dance to your own music. One of my guides just told me dance to your own music when I looked at this card. Okay, dance to your own music. Who cares? Some of you are focusing a little bit too much on what others are saying, what others think of you and what others are saying. That's going to go away. Okay, for a lot of this collective, again, that 2 week to 2 month, if you do the healing work, that's going to go away. That's going to just, that's going to be part of your healing. Actually, that's going to be part of your healing journey. And it's going to be very, very different. But there's a choice that needs to be made. You need to choose to walk that path. You need to choose to do the healing. It doesn't fall in your lap. Everything still requires an action. Okay? So you still need to choose things. Okay? Some of you are also going to be letting some friends go. Something to think about. Letting some people go. Some of you have already done this. Some of you, this is validation and you've already done this. But some of you, you're going to be letting some people go out of your life. Or they're just going to naturally leave. They're going to naturally leave. And there's going to be like this calm and this peace. And you're not going to really miss them. You're not going to miss these people when they go. So I'm going to leave that there. Because they're saying, don't go any further. So I won't. And until next time. Thank you. Like, subscribe, comment down below if you so want to, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.